Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today, what I want to do is to talk about selling your watch. Right now, we're in the middle of a seller's market, and this could change, I think, probably within the next 6 months, perhaps. But if you have a watch or you're thinking of selling a watch, now's a good time. So let's take a look at the ways in which you can sell your watch from different kinds of ways that have advantages and disadvantages. Now, the very first way is a trade-in. This is how you're going to get the lowest amount for your watch. Unless you're desperate, you don't want to use a trade-in. If you're thinking of selling a watch, go ahead and sell it and then use that money, and you'll probably be ahead of the game. I know. I had two occasions where I traded in a watch. One watch I didn't particularly like, but the deal I was getting was really good. So it cost me about a couple thousand on loss because I traded it in. But then I got 10,000 on the other way because I got a huge discount on a watch that I liked a lot. So that kind of equation, I suppose, works. The good thing about trade-ins is easy. I mean, you get it's very easy to do. Took me one deal. I had getting a watch for my wife on a special anniversary, and boy, it had to happen quick, and it did, and that was it. It cost me a bundle, but I got the watch I wanted. Stayed out of trouble too. Okay, so that's one way, and there are a lot of different places, a lot of different dealers will have a thing. One is to sell your watch, and others that we buy used jewelry. They also buy used watches. So if you're desperate, otherwise I wouldn't recommend it at all. Now the next is a little more, it's a little trickier, but there's several advantages, and a lot of people like to use it. And this is through watch groups. They're sort of like a group of people who get together to buy and sell watches, and they do it between themselves a lot. And the pro side of it is that there aren't any fees or taxes or a lot of other things that you pay for otherwise. And the bad part is that if a weasel gets in the group somehow, even once, you can lose your watch. All right, so. But by and large, these are really pretty good. I mean, if you're careful about it, got the name of the seller, the description of your watch for sale, you got the price. Now this one is set at $45,000. There's an interesting thing about this. Facebook doesn't like you buying and selling things without I guess, paying them some fee as well. And so there's a lot of stuff that goes on so that Facebook's algorithms don't recognize you're doing a sale. One of them, they use these little graphic numbers for what it is for sale. Sort of but there it is. This is something I think is you can get a good deal and you can do okay on selling it. And there's a whole thing about reference checking at a good site. And a lot of these sites, before they'll even let you in, you're going to need a reference. Someone say, "Hey, this guy's okay." Jack Watch Buyers and all right guy, and Peter Watch Sellers okay too. So that's another way you can do it. And there's certain advantages, but there are also certain disadvantages as well. Now, another very popular way is on eBay. And the thing about eBay is that you got really a wide exposure. I mean, worldwide. And you have multiple payment options. For example, with PayPal, you can hook it into your credit card or some other thing like that. Whereas on some of these other methods, you can't, you don't let you use your credit card. For example, if you're selling to an individual, they won't let you do it that way. So that can be an advantage or disadvantage depending on how you look at it. When they're set up, it shows the initial price or the asking price. But one of the things I think is important is that there's a little button there that says make offer. Now this allows for negotiation. I think that's very important because you can always jack up the price and figure, okay, I'm going to put this in, but I really, be happy to get this much for it. That happens a lot. And so in terms of selling it, you've got a lot more options for it to get sold. You got a lot more people looking at it. One of the things that used to be a big danger with people sending off their watch and not getting paid, or they send off a watch and the person who gets it's not what it was described to be. They have a new thing that's called an authenticator, and so it goes from the seller to the authenticator, and in the meantime, your payment is held in escrow. So if the authenticator gets it and says this thing is as phony as a $3 bill, you get your money back, and I don't think they're too happy about that. Let me say this. This applies to any sales of your watch. Some years ago, there was this guy had a watch for sale, and there were some prints on it, and it looked like he hadn't busted up in a long time. But it was a watch I really wanted. And eventually I made an offer that he accepted, but then he screwed it up by telling me that I had to provide a courier, send a courier to get it, and the courier will take it to FedEx. This was on an international thing. I figured, man, that's just too weird. If you're a seller, make it easy for the buyer. That's important. Make it secure, but make it easy. Don't try to hassle your buyer after you sold it, or once you agree on a deal, don't expect to get more, or don't ask them for more. One thing about pictures, though, have good pictures. You want a nice, clean background. The ones here, they're okay. They have sort of it looks like they put a blue cloth or something behind it. It doesn't look too bad, but a nice plain flat thing. You can get one of these little boxes. They're like let me bring one here. These are very inexpensive. This is a light box. Here, let me take this out of here. I like to have that for some. Then you can have different colors and so forth. Mine's sort of looks a little tacky right now, but light boxes make it very easy to take like using your phone to take a picture and getting the lighting right. That makes all the difference in the world. You don't want to have one of these dumb pictures with a big glare on top of the glass. People do that, though. They just here they're trying to sell a watch, they're trying to get the most for it, and they take these crummy pictures. Don't do that. If you're selling your watch, take it, get your old cloth out and shine it up and get it in best looking shape. Another thing, too, even when you're giving it a good polish the band. A lot of people got a crummy looking band, especially on a bracelet. But, you can even do that with a band and make it look a lot nicer that way. And then take a good picture. Clear background, focus on the picture. Okay, so eBay, another thing about eBay, let me mention this. eBay, I think, is a good place to sell some of your lower price watches. I mean, you got something with a Longines or something like that. It's not going to be a lot of money. I like that for eBay. You've got, multi-million-dollar watch for sale. You're probably going to want to think of something else. Now, a similar place to eBay, but different, is Chrono 24. Both eBay and Chrono 24 do have an auction option for it. With Chrono 24, it'll have a picture of a watch and have some ridiculously low price, and you click it, and it takes you to an auction at one of the big auction houses. Okay, well, what this is for, Chrono 24, international. I have bought, several watches through Chrono 24. And I've had some problems with Chrono 24 too. So you gotta be careful on everything. One of the big things that people are concerned about is security. And I gotta tell you, it's great. There was a watch I wanted in Poland. This was during the height of the pandemic. The guy selling it and the guy buying it, namely me, didn't realize that Poland couldn't send it to the U.S. I don't know what they were thinking. Either the U.S. some kind of deal, and so the guy sold it and he was shipping it. And I was watching the tracking, and here the thing goes tracking. It gets to Warsaw, the main airport in Warsaw, and it kicked it back. Poor guy. He felt bad about it, but I got all my money back, and no fuss, no muss. So that's one thing about Chrono 24 I do like. You have a lot of different payment options, high security. The downside is that you do pay the taxes. That and death are inevitable. There are high service fees often, and also too there was some things that I didn't particularly like on this one watch that I tried to get. There was a price I could afford, I could pay for it, and everything else, but they ended up jacking it up so much because of a horrendous exchange rate they had. The exchange rate that I saw was like, I don't know, a couple percent. Theirs was like 7%, and they jacked it up beyond what I could pay for. So anyway, there are some problems, but the overall it's pretty good. But it is a little more expensive. Now, the final way that you can sell your watch, and this is one that I've used, and this is through auctions. Now, auctions, a lot of people say, oh, auctions are terrible. You got to do this, you got to do that, because, like, especially for a buyer, if you get the winning auction, like 5,000 Swiss francs or dollars or euros or whatever, suddenly you find out that the final price is 25% above that. There's two things. There's a hammer price and there's a final price. But if you're selling it, it's a bit different story, okay? First of all, I think the people buying at auctions are a little more sophisticated. And I'm talking about the major auction houses. Christie's, what was the other one? Phillips, and Sotheby's. I use Sotheby's both for buying and for selling. The selling experience was a very good one. The buying one was too, and I'll tell you why. If you can go in low enough, the 25% jack up they're going to have for the buyers isn't going to kill you. But by and large, auctions, they're somehow able to get their hands on some of the best watches. For example, this one here is a brand new, unworn 2003 Rolex Kermit. And they have the prices down in dollars, Swiss francs, euros, and Hong Kong dollars. That's another thing that's sort of interesting, the estimate. The estimates are usually pretty good. I mean, sometimes, you'll see one and gets under the estimate or over the estimate. For the most part, these guys know what they're doing. Now, this one is estimated between 20 and 40,000. You guys know what a Rolex Kermit costs, sub. Originally, it wasn't anywhere near that. I wouldn't be surprised if it went way over that amount. Now, when I sold a watch recently on an auction, it was one of these watches that are sort of funny. And by funny, I mean they're sort of out of the mainstream. You have a Rolex or a Patek Philippe or something like that. Those are pretty easy to understand, and you can sell those in a lot of different places. But if you have something that's a little more complex, not everybody is aware of, then an auction is really great because you have a more sophisticated buyer at auctions looking for something that nobody else has. And so, boy, I tell you, right now, I've seen some prices that are just unbelievable. I got double what I paid for mine, and so I was delighted. This is at an auction. Okay, so you got wide exposure, international, mobile payment options, protection, high security, high profits, and they handle shipping. I mean, once you get it off to them, they take care of everything. The downside, it took them, they had a policy, this is Sotheby's, it was 45 days. And, I see that thing sell, and I'm thinking of getting another watch with it. It took them 45 days, but I got everything they said. There was some little fee. It didn't amount to much. It wasn't one of these crazy ones. And so, anyhow, oh, by the way, too, there are a lot of different payment options. I just had them wire it to me. It worked out like a champ. So, anyway, so if you're thinking of selling your watches, this is a good time. And take a look at the options. Go over these auctions. That's one of the things. You can go and look at them. You can look at past ones and see how much and stuff, and see if they had your watch. Same thing, check out eBay and Chrono 24. And also, too, I would take a look at these sort of sell and trade groups as well. Let me know what you think. Any examples of experiences you've had, I'd love to hear it. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Great opportunity to subscribe if you like.